Coming up on this week's edition of the Hornet Sports Report, we'll look back on football's dominating win over Alcorn State. Volleyball takes two on the road to begin SWAC play, and ASU basketball begins fall practice. It's a moving and shaking edition of the Hornet Sports Report, starting now. Hello and welcome to the Hornet Sports Report. ASU football posted its third straight win in dominating fashion last week over Alcorn State. Here now with head coach Reggie Barlow. And Coach Barlow, your team played much better than the final score indicated.
Yeah, our guys came out and played with a lot of enthusiasm. We knew Alcorn was the team that was coming in playing with a lot of confidence. They had been winning a couple games there on the road and had went and beat Arkansas Pine Bluff, so we knew we had to get off to a good start. The guys really bought into it, and we had some great performances.
Your defense really set the tone with 4 takeaways in that ball game.
Yeah, well, you want to win the turnover battle in all games, and it's always great when you can get turnovers. I think 2 of those were in point-blank range there where we got the ball and was able to convert and get a touchdown there on a fumble on the 1-yard line. So it was a great job, great effort by our defense, led by Carton Jones, who was a SWAC Player of the Week, did a good job for us. Courtney Berry, Leland Baker. Our guys really put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which allowed us to make some plays. So it was a great performance by them.
This week, Isaiah Crowell named to the Walter Payton Award watch list, basically the FCS Heisman. Talk about his play so far this season and what it means for our program.
Well, I'm really proud of Isaiah. He's continued to mature. He realized what he means to our team. He's running the ball extremely hard. He's taken ownership of some of the Wildcat stuff that we've added on for him, and for him to be a part of our program and to be on the watch list. I think that's outstanding. It brings great recognition to our university, and of course, I imagine. Isaiah is very thankful of his teammates because those guys are offensive line and receivers. They've allowed him to have the success that he's having.
Hornets start fast in the first half versus the Braves. Let's take a look at the highlights. be back with second half highlights versus the Braves later in the show. But up next, we'll talk Lady Hornet Volleyball with head coach Penny Lucas White. You're watching the Hornet Sports Report. Follow the Hornets wherever you are. Get the latest news on the official website at BamaStateSports.com. Plus, download our free mobile apps for Android and iPhone, and follow us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Visit BamaStateSports.com/social media. Hornet Pride 365 is a new giving campaign aimed to support Alabama State athletics. For just $1 a day, you can make the difference in the lives of our student athletes. For more information and to make a donation, visit BamaStateSports.com/Hornet Pride 365.
Helping wounded heroes start anew, creating new DNA technologies to help keep our communities safe. If you haven't seen ASU lately, you haven't seen ASU. Alabama State University has expanded academic opportunities with new degrees in forensic chemistry, prosthetics and orthotics, applied technology, and microbiology. ASU students and faculty are at the forefront of cutting-edge research that is changing lives. If you haven't seen ASU lately, you haven't seen ASU.
The hard work, the sweat, the pain. It all comes down to this. Who will rise as others fall? Who will leave victorious? Houston will never be the same. It's the Battle of the Bands and the 2013 Toyota SWAC Football Championship. Who will be victorious on Judgment Day?
Welcome back to the Hornet Sports Report. ASU Volleyball wins 2 games to open SWAC play on the road. Joined now by head coach Penny Lucas White. And Coach White, you have to be thrilled with the way your ladies open conference played this past weekend.
Very pleased. I think everybody showed up to play, and with that, I'm pleased.
And Coach White, a very emotional match last week against Alcorn State. Their team dealing with some tragedy right now.
Yes, they were. 2 young ladies were heading home after the football game, a little bit over a week ago, because Alcorn was here last week. but was texting and driving. And she's in a coma on a ventilator, and I couldn't drive home that point. More importantly to my young ladies, how important it is to be completely engaged in driving and not distracted with telephones or other things. But I can't hit that point enough, that it's just really important. It was a tragedy. It was a very emotional match.
And definitely our thoughts and prayers go out to the Alcorn State University family with that. Saturday, team had a very tough match at Mississippi Valley, but pulled it out in the end.
Yes, we did. Mississippi Valley never goes away. That's one thing I think Coach Frankie's doing a very good job is that yet they're small, but they play some incredible defense. I know for a fact some of my players was knocking the leather off the ball, and they were just popping the ball up, and it was coming up from nowhere. But the good news is we were able to put LaToya Ellington back in the lineup on Saturday. Didn't use her on Friday night, but that was huge for us to get some blocked balls, and she made some very key kills to help us. And of course, Mila Marsha had a phenomenal weekend, being named Defensive Player of the Week. I think we're one of the best blocking teams in the SWAC, and my kids continue to show up, but we have a big front line. So with that, I'm pleased.
Let's take a look at highlights from last week's match versus Valley. So Alabama State Volleyball with 2 road wins to open conference play. You mentioned earlier about Mila Marshall's play, named the SWAC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yes, Mila's doing a great job. She also had like 12 kills, and with the 10 block assists, a couple of solo blocks. But Mila's doing a great job. Came in to the office this week, want to set some goals for this upcoming week. So my team's pretty focused.
And talk about that. With Mila coming into the office, you've had a number of players to do that, and their investment in the program and wanting to be successful this year.
And I think that's the key, is that they all want the same thing. They have one dream, one mission, one goal, and that's to win the SWAC. But we don't want to take any prisoners. So every match we go out into, actually from starting last week, from this point on, are all SWAC opponents, pretty much, whether it's designated as a SWAC conference match or just a match. But they are one mission, one goal.
As we look at this week's schedule, you played this weekend back in your hometown in Baton Rouge at the Southern University Invitation.
Yeah, that's a great homecoming for me and Amber Bennett. So we'll have a huge crowd there. Amber had a huge crowd last year. Plus, with all of my friends and family, we're excited to be home. I'm looking forward to a great weekend of competition.
Lady Hornets at Southern this weekend coming up. We'll have highlights next week here in the Hornet Sports Report. When we return, we'll talk Hornet basketball up next.
There's a new force in the fight against crime. A team of young investigative scientists dedicated to the pursuit of truth, knowledge, and justice. CSI ASU. It's not a TV show. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. Careers in forensic science at Alabama State University. When we teach class, the world takes note.
Helping wounded heroes start anew, creating new DNA technologies to help keep our communities safe. If you haven't seen ASU lately, you haven't seen ASU. Alabama State University has expanded academic opportunities with new degrees in forensic chemistry, prosthetics and orthotics, applied technology, and microbiology. ASU students and faculty are at the forefront of cutting-edge research that is changing lives. If you haven't seen ASU lately, you haven't seen ASU.
Welcome back to the Hornet Sports Report. The sounds of bouncing balls can only mean one thing. Basketball is just around the corner. Both the Alabama State women's and men's hardwood teams started practice last week at the Dunn Oliver Acadome. Both teams are looking to improve from disappointing finishes. The Lady Hornets are looking to bounce back from a 9-win season a year ago where it knocked on the door of being a SWAC contender, losing 8 games by just 6 points or less. Now the Dean of SWAC women's basketball coaches, Frida Freeman Jackson, begins her 16th season as ASU head coach and likes how her team has prepared for the start of practice.
Because this year and the years in the past we tried to be an up-tempo type of team, but this year for sure, because we have the numbers, we have 18 players and we want to get up and down, so conditioning is really key. And then also as far as the young ladies' strength and conditioning, they've been lifting weights. It's a lot of psychological aspect as far as lifting weight, as far as them feeling stronger, thinking they tough or whatever, flexing or what have you. So I feel we are in a pretty decent shape. We told them that that's one phase of the season. This is the second phase, and we got to go from there.
On the men's side, the Hornets are looking to rebound from a 10-win season, losing nearly a dozen games by 10 points or less. Alabama State is just 2 seasons removed from this last NCAA tournament appearance in 2011 and will look to be a SWAC contender once again, this time with almost an entirely new roster. With just 4 returning players, 9th-year head coach Lewis Jackson has spent the early days of practice acclimating his players to the new way of Hornet basketball.
Being that we have a lot of new guys, our preseason goal is to just, get to learn each other more, trying to get the offense down, get our defensive scheme of things down, and, find out who can do what and try to put them in situations where they can be successful.
What is a booster? A representative of the institution's athletics interest is an individual who is known or who should have been known by a member of the institution's executive or athletics administration to have participated in or to be a member of an agency or organization promoting the institution's intercollegiate athletics program, have made financial contributions to the athletics department or to an athletics booster organization of that institution, be assisting or to have been requested to assist in the recruitment of prospects, be assisting or to have assisted in providing benefits to enrolled student athletes or their families, have been involved otherwise in promoting the institution's athletics program. Once an individual is identified as a representative, the person retains that identity indefinitely. Compliance is everyone's responsibility. Please remember to ask before you act.
Back again with head coach Reggie Barlow to talk second half highlights versus Alcorn State. And coach, I don't know if you can start the second half any better. Defense gets a turnover on the first play. We score a touchdown on the second play.
Well, we've stressed to our student athletes when we go in at halftime. We've had a couple games where the third quarter hadn't gotten off to a good start, but to come out to get a turnover on the first play and then score on the second play, you say, well, maybe these guys are listening to me, you know. But we were happy to have that type of success and just continue to play. It was a good third quarter for us. We were able to score some points. Of course, we talked about to our team that Alcorn having the character and pride that they have, that they would fight back. They're a well-coached team, and that's what they did. They fought back. They found a way to make some plays and kind of made some touchdowns there at the end.
Hornets continue the scoring barrage. Let's take a look at the second half highlights. So the Hornets complete the 49-30 win. And Coach Barlow, you mentioned Alcorn fighting back, 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns, obviously a teaching point for your team this week.
Well, it's about sustaining effort. It's about finishing teams off, finishing games off. And, of course, it is something that we'll build on. You never want to give up a punt return for a touchdown. The young man fielded the ball on like the 5-yard line, which you totally preached not to do. But maybe he saw that he had an opportunity there. We had some guys there to make the tackle, and it was kind of like, well, I'm going to let someone else make it. So those are things that we've coached up, things that we've corrected with our guys, and we can't allow a team to score that many touchdowns on us in the fourth quarter.
This week we travel to Houston and take on a Texas Southern team that is playing better than their record would indicate.
Well, they've been at every ball game. They're competing at a high level, and I've always had a lot of respect for Texas Southern and the players that they have there. They've always had lots of talent, and it's no different this year. They have some running backs that are extremely explosive. They have an athletic quarterback that really can keep plays alive. And they've always had big guys. Offensive line, defensive line is filled with a lot of big guys. So it's a game on the road. We'll have our work cut out for us there. It's a new stadium for us. We never played in it. So those things will be a bit different. But we're excited about another opportunity to play a SWAC game. And hopefully we can, come out on top.
Hornets playing very well right now. Texas Southern still looking for their first win. How do you keep the guys focused and not overlook this game looking ahead to the Prairie View matchup next week?
Well, I think our guys understand that we're not good enough to overlook people. We haven't played consistently enough to just think we can look past a team. And we don't talk records with our guys. We talk about their personnel and which guys we think could pose a problem for us. So I'm not even sure our team knows the record of a Texas Southern team. And as you watch them on film, you see that, hey, this is a good team. They have a lot of talent. And but we won't be looking past anyone because we're not that good to be able to do that.
You're a product of this conference. Take a look at the SWAC schedule with some matchups this week. You mentioned Prairie View. Talk about their win against Stephen F. Austin, what it means for our league. Well,
typically there's been a lot of talk about our conference not faring well against out-of-conference schools. And whenever you play an out-of-conference game, you want to have an opportunity to win that game and represent your conference. So Stephen F. Austin is a team that's had a good program, and Prairie View they're playing lights out. They're scoring a lot of points, and whenever you can go on the road and win a game, that's big. And of course, it makes our conference look good. So kudos to those guys.
Alabama State football will begin the Texas two-step at Texas Southern. We'll have highlights for you next week. Thanks for joining us on another edition of the Hornet Sports Report.